Hey, good morning, good afternoon to some. It is Monday. Hope you had a blessed weekend, maybe a little bit refreshing. We hope so. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie underway right now with Debbie Georgiani. I am Jerry Usher, and we hope that everyone had a blessed weekend, Debbie, do we not?
Absolutely. Marty and I went to Mass yesterday evening, and then we were driving home to catch the three-part miniseries on George Washington on the History Channel. Today's President's Day. Happy President's Day to everybody. And we were driving home, and I said, "Oh, Marty, I don't have anything ready for dinner. Why don't we just grab something?" And every restaurant was packed. And we said, "Oh, no wonder everything's packed. It's President. Some people are off today." And they were continuing their weekend, their 3-day weekend.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So needless to say, we didn't get anything.
You didn't eat it all last night?
We wanted to race home to watch the first part of on Washington. It was fascinating. But I love history. Don't you just love looking back and seeing, what made people, rise up and have the courage to do things that no one else could do. And there was, sometimes these people in our past, they had a really strong Christian fiber, and it's wonderful. And those Christian heroes is what we're talking about today, Jerry. And I just think this is going to be a great discussion, to help us all, to inspire all of us to maybe, support those around us that have those qualities and let them shine in this very dark world, Jerry. We need more heroes in this world.
Yeah, well, who are yours, Take Two family? Start dialing right now. If you call right now, you'll be the first person on the line. We just started the program, and then we'll get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right in a row after that. So be among that first group of callers to dial 833-288 EWTN, 833-288-3986. Your Christian hero. It could be your dad. Maybe your dad really showed you what it was like to be a good, devout Christian as you were growing up in your home. Or maybe it's a priest or a nun or somebody that you know. Maybe it's I actually have 2 or 3, Debbie, that I'd like to share if there's time later on in the program. But it could be anybody who you look to. Did it have to be living, Debbie? I know you picked this program, so
yeah. No, we can go in. No. We can
okay.
go those who have left this world, but that we remember as Christian heroes. Let me just state some of the obvious, okay? The obvious ones: Mother Teresa, John Paul II, Fulton Sheen. I mean, there's many that we can recall that have walked this earth and really just, they just allowed us to go, wow, this person is great. This person just isn't a good person. They're a great person, and we can learn from them. And, we can see what they are doing in their lives and try to model our lives in a similar way. The reason why this topic came up, Jerry, let me just be totally transparent here. I saw on a Facebook post, somebody posted the speech that Mother Teresa gave many years back at one of the National Prayer Breakfasts when she talked about abortion and everything else that was going on in this world. And this was many years ago, folks. And you could see everybody in the audience was they were kind of squirming, and but that little tiny, less than 5-foot nun was going at it. And I thought, wow, you go. And I reposted that, and I got so many folks that they actually called me and said, thank you for, dragging that out of the past and bringing it back up about how important it is. And so that's what why we came up with this for the show topic and to put on the calendar, Jerry, is because I think we're ready for that again in this world. What do you think? I mean, I tried to think about contemporary, current Christian heroes, and I had a really hard time thinking of any.
Well, it is true. Our times call for every one of us to live heroically, as a matter of fact. But maybe there is someone in your life, someone maybe you don't even know, but that you look at this man or this woman and you say that they are living the Christian virtues, even against strong opposition sometimes. In fact, I'm thinking one of the heroes I was going to mention on the show today is Cardinal George Pell in Australia, who, by all accounts from dependable Catholic people who have actually even been in the courtroom during the proceedings, it is a sham trial, and here the poor man may spend the rest of his days in prison. And of course, if he were to get out now, there's fears for his life, because people think he's guilty. So we look at somebody like a Cardinal Pell right now, and the way he is handling this, he's going through the Christ's passion right now. He really, truly is. And so is there somebody that you look at like that? It doesn't have to be a church leader, but somebody that you just know is they get up in the morning, they pray, they work hard, they go to Mass, they try and teach the faith, hand on the faith, they care for people, they love people. 833-288-3986. These are the heroes that we need today.
I couldn't agree more. We want to hear from you. Christian heroes, that's what we're talking about today on President's Day on Take Two, your show. So please call in at 833-288-3986. And I'm starting to get some text messages coming in, Jerry. People are asking, can you tell us where this Mother Teresa's National Prayer Breakfast speech is? All you have to do, folks, is just Google it. Just Google, I just did it, Mother Teresa National Prayer Breakfast. You'll see the whole text there. And you also have the video there as well. It is fascinating. I totally encourage everyone to go and listen to it again. And it will just, Jerry, Mother Teresa had a way of just making you go, I got to do something. I've got to emerge as a brave Christian person and go against what this world is telling us that is okay, and we know it's not in line with God. I mean, she just had that way. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I think she had that holiness that you could see. It came from inside out, really. And even though so many people hated what she said, she got invited. I think, didn't she speak at the United Nations? I believe,
she
if
was
I'm not
everywhere.
mistaken. Prayer breakfasts, all kinds of, and she probably gave commencement speeches. You know, I mean, the irony of all of that is just dripping off of it. But I think that's beautiful. What about you, Deb? Would you have a hero or two picked out for today?
There's so many from the past that have left this earth after they fulfilled their mission and purpose. There's so many, and we named a few. But for me, I think I talk about him quite often. My uncle, the priest, Father Sylvester Lavolsi, he died a few years back, and I'll tell you what, he was just a hero for me in so many ways. He was brave. He was not embarrassed at all to profess the faith. I loved that about him. I love that. And it inspired the ministry work I do today. So this is Take Two. We're talking about Christian heroes today. Please join us. We'll be right back.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Part of the success we've had on the world over, I attribute to certainly my relationship with Mother Angelica and her teaching me early on that when you sit with someone, you talk to them, you share with them, and you create an environment where they will tell you things they wouldn't tell anyone else.
The World Over with Raymond Arroyo, Thursday night, 8 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Now, we have a quote for you from Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar. I need the gift of counsel to live in the light of discernment, so I may face the truth unafraid by always keeping my hands in His. Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar features an inspirational message for each day of the year. It's available from the EWTN Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com. That's EWTNRC.com.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
What do you do on Sundays? You go to church? No, I golf. Ever make a hole in one? No. Well, why don't you pray a little bit? Pray. Yeah, pray. Oh, why I need to pray? I could give you 50 reasons.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
Here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And the only thing better than having you listening would be calling in and participating because it's your show. 833-288-3986. Do you have a Christian hero? It could be somebody alive today, maybe someone who died recently, maybe a family member, a friend, just someone that you looked at and said, that is the heroic way to live the Christian life. So we'd love to hear from you on that. And, of course, our ultimate hero is Jesus Christ, and we get to celebrate the daily Mass every day. If you can't make it to Mass at a parish near you, tune in to EWTN television and radio, because the daily Mass from Our Lady of the Angels Chapel in Irondale, Alabama, is every morning at 8 Eastern. Again, that's right here on EWTN radio and also on the television side.
I am just chuckling because I'm definitely getting up there in years, folks. I just have to say that. I'm just going to state that right up front. I said that Mother Teresa's prayer breakfast speech on abortion, which was so powerful, and an applause broke out, and it was really quite amazing to watch her deliver this speech. I said it was many years ago. Well, certainly it was, Jerry. It was, I believe it's 1994. Wow, how time flies. And then I said, my uncle died a few years ago. My uncle died 10 years ago. Jerry, what's happening to me? Something's wrong. I mean, time is a blur. Is time a blur for you at this point in life?
Sometimes it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on the circumstances. Sometimes time just crawls by.
True. Very true. Okay, guess what, folks? We have an open phone line. So if you have something to say about Christian heroes, they can be past or present heroes. We want to hear from you. If you feel prompted by the Spirit, contribute. That's what makes these conversations so great on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Please call in at 833-288-3986. We know you have something to say about this topic because everybody does. Let's hear what Michael has to say in Boston, Massachusetts, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Michael, and welcome.
Hello, Debbie and Jerry. How are you?
Very well,
Good.
Michael. How are you doing
It's our friend
today?
Michael. Hi, Michael.
And happy President's Day, because I'm happy we have the president we got. But anyways, as far as heroes, and I know a lot of people are going to say this, but my father, now I'm 62 years old, and then it never gets, it doesn't get easier when they're gone, when it gets to be this age. But it's a great topic because it kind of encapsulates my whole life. And my father, I remember being 4 or 5. I'm the youngest of 9 children, and my father never pushed the religion. All you had to do was watch him. I remember 4 or 5 years old. Every night at 6 o'clock in Boston, the Cardinal Cushing used to have his voice on the radio, which I didn't know what he was talking about at that age. It was a rosary, and I watched my father go in the room, and he'd kneel on the hard floor with his knees and look up at the crucifix and say the rosary, and I used to kneel in. He wouldn't let me kneel on the hard floor. He'd put a pillow under my knees, and I used to tag him, when am I going to get those things, those beads? You'll get them when you're older. Just pay attention. But he didn't push it. He didn't push it. But every Saturday, maybe because I was younger, he had more time now with me being the youngest. Every Saturday, he'd walk me around. We'd walk her up the beach, whatever. But he'd bring me to 2 or 3 churches. He taught me about all of the Stations of the Cross. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years old. And I remember the first time when he was he went into the confession box, and they had that little curtain. And I used to go, would you go in behind that curtain there? He goes, never mind, I was talking to the priest. So as I got older, I watched. He never pushed it. And so, but my point is this: he lived it. He didn't have to push it, and it matched with his demeanor. So he didn't have to say, "You're going to do this." I remember playing stickball with the kids when I was like 12 years old. I'd put the stick down. I'd see him going up to the Monday night novena. I'd go up. They go, "Oh, you're going to church again?" I said, "That's right, I am." And it stuck with me because that was the right thing to do. He didn't push me. He just led me.
Now, Michael, you're summing up something I love to say all the time. As parents, if we simply live the faith matter-of-factly, we don't make it something outside of our normal lives, in other words, because a lot of times kids need coaxing and stuff and what do you call it, bribes or favors or whatever to go to Mass. But if the family just says, hey, this is what we're doing right now, and everybody, let's go. And it sounds like it was that way with you. And I was so touched when you said he wouldn't let you kneel on the floor without a pillow when you were so young. That day, I'm sure, came for you later. But see, you had a father here who not only wanted the faith to be deep within you, but he wanted to just make sure that you had that respect of him and that love and relationship with him that was going to allow whatever he did, his actions, to really soak deep inside of you and in your mind and in your heart. Debbie, that's great. What a great blessing Michael had in his dad.
Oh, absolutely, Michael. Michael, I got to share a couple things with you that I think will make your day. Actually, I think it will make your week. First is that we're getting some text messages. Some folks are just saying, too, that John Paul II used to watch his father, and his father was a big influence on him. So similar to how what your situation was with your dad. I loved when you made the comment about, when do I get those beads? I love that, Michael. I thought that was beautiful. And then we're getting some other text messages coming in from the Take Two family. And I'm going to read to you exactly what it says, Michael. It says, I love when Michael calls. And another person wrote, I love this man. That's you, Michael. You see, the Take Two family loves when you contribute to this and what you shared from your heart. So I just hope that makes your day and your week. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit of humor out of it. When I was a little boy, I didn't know what the prayers were, but I'd hear my father saying, blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. And I didn't know what he's saying. I used to go, Dad, you're talking about Fruit of the Loom? What are you talking about, Fruit of the Loom? That's underwear. He said, no. He said, you got to learn. He laughed at me. Just relax. He said, relax. But he knew. He was the most patient man in the world. I remember when he was getting sick, and then I moved back with him in 1990, and I lived with him 4 years before he died. And he started trying to tell me about something. I said, Dad, you don't have to say a word. Yeah. You lived it.
Yeah.
You lived it. You lived it. So you are a walking Bible.
Yeah. I mean, those are, if you think of words that can be said to someone who is drawing close to death, those would be words I would love to hear someday. You lived it. And by living it the way you did, you caused other people to want to live it that way as well. So, Michael, beautiful phone call as always. Thank you, brother, in Boston.
Can I ask a quick question real fast?
Sure.
What's your dad's first name so we can just honor him as well, Michael?
Frank.
Oh, he went by Frank. I love it. And one other thing, Michael, the reason why I feel so close to you is because you made the comment, you're the youngest child of a big family. So am I. So there you go. There's our connection, Michael.
All right, Michael, bless you, brother. We look forward to hearing from you again. We love when you call the program. 833-288-3986, talking about people in your lives, present or maybe past, who have been kind of heroic in their Christian witness to you, and you learned a great deal about God and your faith from them and how to live as a Christian. Kathy is next in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, listening to Take Two on Holy Spirit Radio. Welcome, Kathy.
Hello, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm sure, like other people, I really feel like I have a list a mile long. As far as my own life, my dad for sure. My conversion really didn't happen until I was 40, and he didn't really get to see that because he had Alzheimer's. But he really lived a Christian life. And after my conversion, I looked back on my life and I thought, oh my gosh, he was Jesus to me, without ever saying that, without ever walking around with the Bible in his hand. But he was very devout. He was a devout Lutheran. And anyway, he like the previous gentleman, he just lived the gospel life with joy. So even though he didn't get to see it in this life, I talk to him all the time now that I know he's in heaven. But anyway, enough about me. But I was thinking about two people in particular that are true heroes in this day. And one is David Daleiden. He's the one who went undercover, to the Planned Parenthood staff and things like that, and uncovered what's truly happening in that organization. What they really stand for is profit through the death of infants. So he must have known from the beginning when he planned this with that other woman. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but Sandra, I think something. But she, they knew that it was going to be a tough road. I'm sure. And it really has been. Obviously, everybody knows what's been going on. I assume that. I'm not going to get into all the details. But what a hero. What a really true Christian witness he is. And hopefully there will be a good outcome. I know he's being persecuted big time because the power is behind, the culture of death. Right. The other person that really comes to mind is Nick Sandman, that young man from the Covington Catholic High School who went to the March for Life last year, and was filmed, when this person came up and provoked him, and yet he stood his ground. He was calm, which is amazing for a young high school student. And then, of course, what happened with the news, they just, blew up this whole situation that really was not the case. And, of course, now they're paying for it. He did have some success in court, unlike David has so far. Yeah. But anyway, those two come to my mind right now for tremendous witnesses and heroes in our day.
Yeah, what can you say about Nick Sandman and the way he kept his composure, and really all of the other students too, by extension. I mean, he was the face of this. But let's also give kudos to all of the other students there who were just very dignified and patient, and I think very even loving in the face of what was being done to them at that time. And I agree with you, Kathy. I'm glad that he is receiving some benefits, some reward or what have you for his trouble, and David Daleiden still facing some of the horrible things that he is facing, being dragged through court and persecuted and all of that. I was actually going to say David Daleiden is one of my my modern day heroes today,
so
Kathy.
Was I.
So Debbie and I are glad that you did, because what he is doing, I mean, he is laying his life on the line in a certain way for the most vulnerable and the most innocent of all. That's so Christ-like, and it's something we can all learn from. Debbie's just such a great example for all of us, because how many of us, we may be against abortion and things like that, but we're afraid to even go out and pray a rosary in front of an abortion clinic or something. Or this man took it to the extreme next level, and has. And it's of course it's a scandal that he's the one who's going to pay for this instead of the people on the culture of death, as Kathy alluded to. But go ahead, Debbie. I'm sure you have something.
No, I totally agree with everything you said. And I just want to say, for David Daleiden and his team that he has worked with, and that undercover, investigative work that he did in the abortion clinics and stuff. I just want to say, I've experienced being dragged into court. I went through just a horrible post-divorce situation, and the stress of that alone can just make you go crazy. It really can. And so I pray for him all the time and his team, because it's got to be so hard. Nick Sandman, I mean, we did this story on Covington Catholic when it first broke, and Jerry and I both felt that we could see that these young men, especially Nick, they held it together. And, so they are being monetarily, Nick is, compensated. But, does that take away all the scars of what they've been through? They stood up. And that's what I said at the beginning when I was talking about my uncle, about not being embarrassed to step out there and to have that brave interior sense to just stand up no matter what comes at you. And I think that's what we're talking about, that elevated sense that, you really are holding on and doing this for God. And no matter what the world can throw at you, you take comfort and trust in knowing God's got your back. So we agree with you, Kathy. Anything else before we let you go? Great contribution to this topic today.
No, thank you. I could go on and on, but I'm not going to. I love your show. Thank you so much, both of you, for what you do. It's really contributes to really great things in all of our minds. So thank you so much for what you do. You're a true hero. You're heroes too. Thank you.
Bless your heart,
thanks, Kathy.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that, and keep you in our prayers, and certainly count on yours as well. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. We thank the show team, too. Rich Jesse, our producer, and Jeff Burson is on social media, where you can comment now. If you are watching the video stream on Facebook or YouTube, you can post your comment there, and Jeff will take it over to a shared document that we have online. And how else, Debbie? They can text the letters EWTN to 55000.
Correct.
Might be a small data rate for that. Getting a couple of emails. You want to?
Yeah. Do you want to? Can you address that first email that just came in? They wanted to know the name of our theme song, and they love our show. We don't have a name of it. It was custom made for the show, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
We should name it the Take Two theme song.
Yeah, it'll be a million seller. Laura asked that question. Laura, we'll get that message forwarded over to the powers that be, people who actually know what's going on around here, because Debbie and I don't.
Yeah, we don't know anything.
But yeah, it's kind of a zippy little theme song. Our friend Zach said, he emailed and he said, 3 people I admire today are Dr. Ralph Martin, Peter Herbeck, and Sister Ann Shields, all with Renewal Ministries. I love all of them, Debbie.
Me too.
But Sister Ann is the one I know the best,
too.
and she is just a dear, dear saintly soul.
I agree. Well, Zach, you've probably heard us say this, but I've in the past on the show, but I say it all the time. People say, "Who do you listen to, Debbie?" And I say, Sister Ann Shields. So we're right with you, Zach. Way to go! I love that. See, those are 3 great heroes, and Renewal Ministries is doing great work, Jerry.
That they are.
And they're just quiet about it, which I love. They're just quiet but consistent, and they just keep going at it, and I just love it. And it's making a difference.
Quietly changing the world. All right, Peter is next. Hang on, Peter, just a quick second here, and then we have Dora in Morris, Connecticut. Keith is on the line in Houston, and look at that. We've got an open phone line here on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie. It's President's Day. Happy President's Day, and we're celebrating Christian heroes, living or deceased. Who was someone that was heroic in your eyes? 833-288-3986.
Raymond Arroyo.
We need EWTN radio for the reason that Mother Angelica founded this enterprise. She saw this as a holistic approach, reaching the whole person, bringing them truth and life.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN radio.
Jesus asked the question, what good is it to gain the whole world and lose yourself? The cost of sin is you. All too often we think we're going to find ourselves or become free by throwing off the rules and doing whatever we want. But you not only lose your integrity, virtue, and grace, the more you give in to your vices, the more you lose your personality. Ever notice how similar vices produce similar people? I mean, you could pick someone out of a crowd who's given himself over to alcohol or to weed. There are accurate caricatures of a man who's filled with rage, greed, or given over to lust. They all start to become less themselves and more something else. They lose their individuality. In the pages of history, saints and heroes stand out. No 2 saints are alike. Their individualism is perfected the more they lose themselves in the right stuff: faith, hope, love, and a noble cause. Want to become your true self? Lose yourself in God. Send us a message at connect@reallifecatholic.com. This is Chris Stefanik from reallifecatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
We need Catholic radio because we need the voice of the church in the public forum. We live in a time that the secular voice dominates so thoroughly that we need to get that Catholic perspective out. Just as Fulton Sheen used radio and TV in the last century, we need to continue to use this means to announce the Catholic faith in the public forum.
Bishop Robert Barron thinks Catholic radio is important. So should you.
I'm Gloria Purvis.
And I'm Deacon Harold. The Morning Glory team asks, how do we see God's light in the midst of darkness?
Tomorrow morning, 7 Eastern. Now back to Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie.
We're talking about Christian heroes today on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie, and we would love for you to call in and share your idea of the person that makes just the perfect Christian hero. It could be past or present. 833-288-3986. And real quickly, Jerry, I just want to say this. I don't have to say this. I know everybody's going to say, oh, she has to say this because, she's married and you always got to, give compliments to family members. But it really, when I heard Michael's contribution and then Kathy's, they just did such a beautiful job sharing from their heart, I got to thinking on the break and I said, really, a Christian hero for me, and I don't want to get emotional, would really be Marty, my husband. Marty came into my life and my family situation was an absolute mess. There was just so much, the turbulence. I can't even describe it. It's something you see in a movie, that just keeps you on the edge of your seat in the movie theater. And Marty could have left town. He really could have. He could have just said, I'm out of here. This is just too much for me. But he really did very early on said, he picked up the cross with me. And he's been carrying that cross with me for, over 12 years. And he really is, in my mind and my heart, a Christian hero for me because he does it so quietly. Jerry, you know him very well because we all work in ministry together. And he just doesn't ask for any praise. He just keeps going. And I think that's a lot we got to recognize that in people, because sometimes we may overlook people like that because they are quiet. Wouldn't you think, Jerry?
Yeah, it is easy to overlook people like that. And the beautiful thing about somebody like Marty and other people like that is if they were overlooked, it wouldn't bother them because, they have that humility inside and that simplicity. And I don't mean simplicity in a bad way. I just mean very simple, pure, unjaded faith and that humility, that goes along with if you don't be recognized for something, it doesn't really bother you. In fact, you don't even really notice sometimes.
Right.
But I wouldn't know what that's like, but
but wouldn't it be cool, Jerry, if those people that we have in our life that are just, keep going and they keep doing such good work, wouldn't it be wonderful if, like today especially, we just happen to tap them on the shoulder and say, you know what, I really appreciate you. I really, would think that I would put you on the list of Christian heroes. I think that would be, would make the world a better place today.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good idea. Good exercise for the day. Report in tomorrow, everyone. 833-288-3986. We're going to hear who some other people's heroes are. Peter in Denton, Texas has Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Peter. Thanks for your call.
Hello. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well, Peter. How are you, sir?
So far, so good.
Good.
My wife is my Christian hero. My wife Judy and I both came to the Catholic faith in the persecuted church. And recently she was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia and left us for heaven on the 29th of October. She was led to the church by our Holy Mother and just fell in love with Mary, and her entire life was around Mary and Jesus. And on her death, close to her death, the priest came by to bring unction. And with that, he commented about how calm she was about her impending death. And she said to him, I have Jesus and Mary. I don't need anything else. And he was so touched, he asked us to come to Mass the next Sunday. And she was in hospice at the time. And so we did. And she was so encouraged by this, she wouldn't take the walker and she didn't want to bring her oxygen. So when we got to Mass, he asked her to repeat why she was so calm. Well, her first comment was to say thank you for everybody for being Catholic so that we could come to the Catholic Church. And then he said, no, I want you to tell us why you're so calm. And then her response was, she told the entire congregation, I have Jesus and Mary. Now, don't think I don't get scared sometimes, because I do. But as she says, I just go to them, and with them, she said, I feel total and complete solace. And one of the comments she did make is she has always been with Mary, that Mary has been with her in the past. And she said, Peter, she says, I don't understand. Mary's at a distance now. And that was her only wondering about it, but she knew that she was there. So God bless you all, and I'll let you make some comments.
Well, Peter, we put Judy's and your whole entire family in our book because we keep a book of the living and the deceased. And Judy, I can see why she was, and she is your Christian hero, because she's alive now more in Christ than ever before, Peter, as you know. But I'm sorry for your loss, because it just, you can hear through your words the love and the respect that you have for Judy, and I think that's beautiful. As you were speaking about how she said, I have Jesus and Mary, I believe it was Padre Pio, and everybody who's listened to this show on a regular basis knows that I absolutely love Padre Pio. I believe that on his deathbed, he constantly was saying, Jesus, Mary, Jesus, Mary, Jesus, Mary. He kept saying it over and over again. And so I couldn't help but think of that. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, Judy was so in line with how the saints exited this world, and in that close connection, and just transitioning over into the hands of Mary and Jesus. And I think that is just, it brings us all comfort. I mean, we're all gonna pass in this world. Let's face it. That's one thing we're sure of, right? What is the old saying? Death and taxes. We're sure of that. So we're gonna go, okay? But it's very comforting to know that we are going into the arms of Jesus and Mary. And I think that's beautiful. And the way you and Judy thanked the whole faithful, the church family, I think is another indication of how important our Catholic faith is in our lives. We're not alone in this. We're together in this. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you, Peter. And I'm sorry. We're sorry for your loss. Jerry, I know you wanted to comment.
The one thing that just struck me, Peter, was, and I think this is a lesson for all of us, and that is, as we approach death, yes, there's going to be trepidation, a little bit of fear, maybe some hope, some joy, all these things mixed together. But if we have done well to ally ourselves with not only Jesus, but Mary and many of the other saints, I believe that solace, that consolation, that peace that Judy had, it can be richer and more present and fuller for all of us if we spend our lives getting very, very close to and getting to know our older brothers and sisters all the better. So I'm glad that you shared that about your wife there too, Peter. Anything else you wanted to offer?
Yes, I was going to add in that while she was sick, while we were approaching this final thing, for over a year, she was, when she was diagnosed with pre-leukemia, she asked for intercession of Blessed Stanley Rother, a martyr, and for a miracle cure. But of course, that didn't happen. But what she did see was Stanley Rother holding her up to Jesus in his hands. So,
wow.
You can add that in.
Yeah. For those who don't know who Blessed Stanley Rother is, I believe he was from Oklahoma, and he was a missionary in South America somewhere. I may not be getting all the details right, but he came, I guess you would call it home, to the U.S. for a visit, and he knew that if he went back, his life was going to be in danger, and he says, I have to go back, and he did pay the ultimate price with his life. So thank you, Peter, for reminding us of Blessed Stanley Rother as well. He was beatified, I think, with Solanus Casey at the same time, so... Wow. Great stuff, Peter. Yeah. Our prayers continue for you and your family, and of course, we'll be praying daily for the repose of Judy's soul as well. Thanks for calling us.
Thank you, Peter. Is that amazing? Could you feel the Holy Spirit on that? I could totally feel it. This is incredible. What a great conversation we're having. I really hope, folks, it inspires you and just makes you really think deeply about just how connected we are as the faithful and with the communion of saints, right, Jerry? I mean, it's just so, I love it. It brings you comfort.
It's called family. Yeah, it's called family. And we remain family even after our loved ones pass away. Mm-hmm. So, absolutely. Dora, I'm going to go to Dora next in Morris, Connecticut, listening on the EWTN app, and a first-time caller to Take Two. Hi, Dora, welcome.
Hi, I'm Dora. Yes, I'm from Goshen, but I'm visiting my daughter. I just had to say something about Father Prue. He was a priest that he moved to Goshen at St. Thomas in 1986. He first started going there, and we had just moved to Goshen. And the first time I met him, he's standing outside smoking a cigarette, and I wasn't really that impressed with him. But I continued to go, and the more I went, the holier he got. You know, he quit the smoking, and he just was just a very calm man, and he just was so loving. And different stories. Now, what he would do is he would repeat his sermons now and then, and people would walk out and say, I've already heard that, I've heard that. But now that he's deceased, we all remember his sermons, and we all remember the things he does, and I realized that we needed to hear them. And he, at one point, you know, he did end up having lung cancer, and he was stayed at Goshen, Connecticut for 20 years, and I would visit him in this nursing home, and he was on all these medications, and he said, I was so depressed, and he says, I took all my anger, and I threw it at the cross, and as soon as I threw it at that crucifix, everything was lifted, and he started ministering to the people at the nursing home. And I would go to him, and people from all the parish would go to him on a regular basis to go to confession, to get counsel. And one time I went to him, and he said to me, I went to confession, he said, Dora, you said something to me about 13 years ago in confession. Do I have your permission to repeat it? And I realized at that point that he actually knew my soul. And this is a man that was so patient with me when I was critical of the Catholic Church, and he just stood and loved me. And what he said was, I realized he was listening when I was saying confession. And I realized the thing that we like about Father Prue, and as he's deceased now, he's been dead about 8 years, we all have a Father Prue story. I've been collecting them because they're so powerful, because his greatest gift was that he was human. you could see, he had been the smoker, he had been that. So he was able to identify with everyone. So you don't get that when the priest only stays a couple years in a parish. So I think the fact that he stayed for 20 years, he really became our father. And we to this day, when he was buried, the church was overfull. It was jam-packed. And to me, that's a hero. That's a great thing, really, because he was so human.
Yeah. No, that is a great heroic man, and you've described him beautifully, Dora, and we thank you for bringing his person and his name to our attention. And this really can happen in so many instances. Our pastors, they need us so very much to support them, but how much support do they give us? He was very gentle and kind with you, and like you said, he was obviously very attentive in confession, and he had to be just a loving man. You don't see a turnout like that at a funeral just for just anybody. Even a lot of priests probably don't have turnouts like that. I would hope that they would, because we owe so much to the priests, whether they're a Father Pruitt-like or just a little bit more garden variety. Actually, I don't mean garden variety in a negative sense. I just mean because every priest is in persona Christi, but yeah.
Right. Well, and Dora, I think I love how you started off when you said your first impression of him was, he was smoking a cigarette. And so you're like, well, let's see, where this goes. Right. But it's so interesting. I love reading the lives of the saints. Folks, please read the lives of the saints. So many of them had they lived a very full life. Okay, they had a lot of things that they dealt with. A lot of saints had tempers and different things that they dealt with. They were human, okay, but they had the openness and the ability to move others in the faith. And that's what I'm hearing from you, Dora, how beautiful it was that this wonderful priest moved you along that faith journey. And that, I believe, is going to grant him blessings. I just do in eternal life, because I think it's a wonderful thing when we move people along closer to God. The last thing that God wants is for us to stay stuck or to go backwards. But guess where Satan wants us? Satan wants us stuck or to go backwards. And if a wonderful priest can move you along the faith journey and deepen your faith and your relationship with God, I say, wow, they are blessed, and we are all blessed to get to know them, right, Dora, or get to experience them.
Yes. I wanted to say too, he would say oftentimes, it is easier for the sun to stop shining than for us to live without the Eucharist. So that was a pretty powerful statement.
Oh, yeah.
That was, I believe, attributed to Padre Pio. It's easier for the earth to continue without the sun than without the Holy Mass. Absolutely. And if you just stop for a few seconds and ponder that, you can see why. Dora, bless your heart. Thank you for your phone call. We appreciate it so much. And we do hope that we will hear from you again. And you won't be a first-time caller next time. Debbie, real quick, I just want to mention, if I may, CatholicNewsAgency.com. It's a service of EWTN, and I'm on that page right now. Longtime Supreme Knight of the Knights of Columbus, Virgil Decant, passed away at 89. They actually have a story on Cardinal Pell, who I listed as one of my heroes at the start of the show. And also, Pope Francis is going to start requiring a year of missionary work for priests who want to hold a post at the Vatican, I believe, if I understand that right.
Wow.
So some really interesting stories. CatholicNewsAgency.com from EWTN.
Mm-hmm. Real quickly, Terry weighed in, our friend Terry, and she wanted to just add and just put her stamp of approval on the Covington Catholic kids and David DeLayden, and then Abby Johnson. Yes, Abby Johnson as well. Boy, she's been through a lot, and look at that wonderful movie she produced for all of us so that we could get a real understanding of what it means to be involved in an abortion clinic. So yeah, Abby Johnson as well. Okay, let's hear what Keith has to say in Houston, Texas, listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. And Keith, you are the recipient today of our Virtual Patience Award. Way to go, Keith.
Thank you, Debbie. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, Keith.
I really, I'm kind of nervous about this, even though I'm proud to suggest our current president. I thought that your suggestions earlier about the young man from Covington, if you say his name again.
Nick Sandman.
Nick Sandman.
Nick Sandman, yes, sir. And David DeLayden. I couldn't remember his last name either, but I thought he's gone through so much, and he really should be receiving accolades instead of going through trials for his work. But I'm proud of also our president, even though I don't want to canonize him or anything. And I'm like the Speaker of the House. I pray for him, and I think that God is answering our prayers. I'm really proud of some of the decisions that he's made. And I'll leave it at that, or I'll qualify that, because I know there's a lot of, he's being criticized a lot, and he's still got a lot of room for improvement.
Well, we all do. And yeah, Debbie, you made the point earlier about, everybody is human and we all have our pluses and our minuses. I would agree with you, Keith, to the extent that, Mr. Trump has made some amazing appointments, for example, Supreme Court appointments. He's appointed a lot of pro-life people.
Absolutely.
He is speaking at the March for Life, the first sitting president ever to do that. So I think when you tally up the both sides of the score, you've got a lot of things, Debbie, to be pleased about as a Catholic Christian.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Keith, just so you know, I pray for President Trump and Vice President Pence all the time, because I don't know how they are dealing just with the stress of having, everything coming at you so quickly when you're trying to do what's best for the country. And you're right. If we want to pick away at faults, we can do that. Okay. That's obvious. Everybody wants to say, hey, can you stop him from going on Twitter? That's a real problem. Okay. We can all pick on the faults, but let's look at what it's producing. Okay. I want to say, thank goodness we have so many things on the table right now that are pro-life aligned. And that's important. And that is very important for us as Catholic Christians. And, is that are we saying that all Catholics are single issue people? Well, in essence, we are, I think. We have to.
The bishops just, at their last meeting said that the life issues were preeminent.
That's right.
They officially said that, which maybe
there you go.
Overdue, but yeah.
Well, but there you go. So here's the thing: as I look at what's coming out of it, the fruits of it for the faithful, and what it means for us as believers in God. And so I'm right with you on that, Keith, and that I think sometimes people, we can pick the faults out. Let's face it. Keith, I'm sure if you spent 2 days with me, you could have a million things you could identify as the faults that I have. We could all do that, but let's look at what we're producing, right, Keith?
Right. And you made a great point about the nominations. He's also picking some really unpopular or some maybe politically difficult decisions. There's like half the country is balanced on one side or the other very strongly, like the trade fairness and what we're doing with Israel, and as far as recognizing them and supporting the unborn. I think. Did you? Or you already said that? Yeah, you said that, the pro-life stuff.
We did, but as you were speaking, Keith, we're having text message fly in, and people are saying, President Trump also reinstituted prayer in schools. There's so many things. Look at what's happening, and I think that is really important for us as Catholics. We have to look at that, and I don't know. I tell you what, this is a tough situation, because even just stating that, Keith, we'll probably get emails saying, how could you say that? He's an adulterer, he's this, he's that. People just want to throw out comments. And I just think we have to move ahead as Christians of what is important for us, the ultimate goal for us as Christians. I don't know how you feel about that, Keith or Jerry, but that's how I feel. That's my personal opinion.
You said it better than I could, both of you.
Oh, well. Well, thanks for the contribution to the program, Keith, in Houston there. We appreciate that so much. And yeah, we all, regardless of who the president is, we ought to be praying for him every day. We pray for the Pope every day. Well, the president is in a similar position over our nation like the Pope is over the church. It's a huge responsibility, and forces coming against whoever they are, Democrat, Republican, Independent,
right.
Old, young, white, black, it doesn't matter,
Right. Well, and can I just say something real quickly? And Keith, don't hang up yet. Look at Vice President Pence. Okay, let's just take him for example. In their marriage, okay, in the sacredness of their marriage, they have agreed that he will not take meetings with females and go and travel alone with females. Do you know how he was criticized by the media and by the public? That is terrible. I think that is a beautiful thing that they decided as a couple. I think it's wonderful, and we need more of that. Set the ground rules to keep the sacredness in your marriage. But look how he was criticized. that he was some kind of horrible person because he would say that. I don't think that's horrible. I think it's beautiful.
Well, it convicts a lot of consciences. Let's just put it that way. When you uphold values, family values, marriage values, things like that.
Yeah.
All right, Keith, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Keith.
Who do we want to go to next, Deb?
Jean. Jean is
Okay.
in Cleveland, Ohio, listening on The Rock. I love that station. Hi, Jean. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. I think there's some modern heroes, and I think among them are the Chinese who are, the Christians and Chinese who are undergoing so much persecution. And then they've got the Corona virus on top of that. I don't know if they're blamed for it, but, they've got two things going against them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, long has it been the case that Christians in China have been under severe persecution. Not just Christians, Muslims as well, and basically people of any religion. Because see, the hardline communists, the Chinese are, they will tolerate no religion whatsoever, especially one that has allegiance to anybody other than the leaders of the Communist Party.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep hearing things getting worse and worse there, Debbie. And yet we look at the same time. We just pray. I know I pray for not just the Christians in China, but the nation of China as well. Just think if a nation like China had a massive conversion of the leadership and the people, what a difference that would make in the world.
Oh, I know, because it's a powerful country. Yeah, and I totally agree. I actually, real quickly, Jean, in my rosary about a month ago, I actually thought about the Christians in China and how they have to, really be able to connect with one another underground, and they're constant that fear of being, killed or hurt somehow. And I thought to myself, I don't know if I would have the strength to do it. I mean, that just to let alone my blood pressure was getting sky high just thinking of it. So I agree with you. They are really heroic in nature to be able to practice out and live out their Christian faith in a very hidden world and under the threat of being hurt. What do you think, Jean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would. Well, I suppose I would say if Jesus gave me the strength, grace, I would have the strength, but I sure wouldn't have it on my own, I don't think.
No. None of us would have it on our own, Gene, and that's just the beautiful, beautiful thing. Jesus calls us to do heroic things, sometimes very painful, sacrificial things, and yet the grace of the moment, we sometimes think, right now, there's no way I could go through that, but at that moment, Jesus is there with the grace to sustain us. So, Great call, Gene. Thank you very, very much for being a part of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie today.
Yes,
and
thank
Deb,
you,
we
Gene.
look at Gloria and Joan and the others on the line. We got about 40 seconds till the closing music.
Real quickly, Joan's calling in from Florida. She just wanted to give a shout out to her son who has the radio show Love Will End Abortion. I'm sure she's referring to her son Jim Havens. Am I correct on that? And we love Jim Havens. I love all his posts on Facebook. I love the show, and you're absolutely right, Joan. He does a fabulous work fighting the good fight and making us all aware of what's happening. So I agree. Love Will End Abortion. That's a great show.
Yeah. Well, we've heard the word prayer mentioned a lot today, Debbie. And tomorrow we're going to not only pray today, but we're going to really, really, really pray tomorrow, right?
It's our 911 God, I need you now. Emergency. Urgent prayer requests.
Prayer requests. Yeah, that's tomorrow's show.
It's very popular.
It's a very popular show. So, dear Take Two family, between now and tomorrow, you've got about 23 hours. Think of those. You don't have to think hard, I'm sure, but just come up with those really serious prayer intentions we want to take before the Lord tomorrow.
And we just want to thank the Inspired by Faith book club that's watching us on Facebook right now. Sally, Doug, Kathleen, Maureen, Joyce, Anne-Marie, Gigi, John, and all the others. Thanks, you guys. We have a big audience, Jerry. But tomorrow, Jerry is right. It's the Urgent Prayer Request show. Very popular. Please be thinking of the prayers that you need us to storm heaven with. We want to hear from you tomorrow. Remember, this is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. So until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed President's Day. See you real soon.